everybody. Welcome to the Pink Life. I can't wait for any more perfect times to vodcast, so I've decided to do Pammy in her pajamas. I don't know what else to tell you. We're just going to go with it. Okay, so people asked about money. Money is such a sensitive subject, of course, but, there's a lot of information out there. And it's kind of like, HGTV did, is the one that came up with open floor plans for people. Because it was easier for their cameras to record. Why am I saying this story? Is because I'm trying to get you to see that there's ulterior motives when anybody has something that they're giving advice on. I'm only giving you what's worked for me. I'm not saying it'll work for everybody else, but I'm going to get to what's worked for me. But HGTV, they had this open floor plan so that their cameras could get around easier. And that's what got rid of everybody's individual rooms. Also, there's also Kellogg's cereal started a campaign in 1917 saying breakfast was the most important meal of the day, which there's no scientific proof behind that. It's simply just an advertising slogan. So we have to really evaluate our values and concept of money based on what feels, not just feels, but what has worked. But my personal example is, because people have all these opinions, and we don't know if it's a marketing campaign or what it is. So anyways, even getting rid of individual rooms like HGTV, they have open concept. Well, that was for their cameras to get around. Now, I enjoy open concept, but it's true. It's sometimes, I miss kind of having separate rooms where you can have like dishes in the sink in the kitchen, but that doesn't mean your whole house is dirty because it's not attached to the living room. But I also like how you can be in the kitchen and still see everybody. I'm just saying there's pros and cons, and we have to realize there's motives behind everything that people are selling or doing. But back in about 2002, 2003 era, I was noticing that rich people kind of seemed broke. Average people kind of seemed broke. Poor people were obviously broke. I'm like, how's this possible? How can you have a ton of money and still be worried about finances? And that's when I realized that managing money is more important than making money. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It only matters how much money you keep. If you are bringing in $1 million a year, but you're spending $1 million and one penny, you're broke. The person who's making $50,000 a year, who's only spending $40,000 a year, is richer than the $1 million person who's spending $1 million and one penny. So I was wondering, how can I make my family more financially secure, no matter what our income level was? Because if I had to wait until I was making $1 million, well, I was going to be waiting a really long time. Probably might never make that kind of money. So now there's lots of voices out there, and some of the voices I respect is like Dave Ramsey. I haven't really watched or read any of his books, but I've gotten his information from Ryan and Townsend Russell. Ryan, of course, was in Showtime, Ryan Perkins, and she married Townsend Russell. And they really, bought into the Dave Ramsey idea of thinking. And I think they're a very young couple, but with young kids, and I was very impressed with how they dealt with money. But I came across this pamphlet. It's called One for the Money. Now, I can find this online. As you see, it's very short. It's an easy read. I don't like big, long books. So this was, what is this? 11 pages? I think so. Yeah, 11 pages. 12 pages long total. That's my kind of reading. But I couldn't find the entire pamphlet online. Only parts of it. So I went ahead and bought 10 of these. So the first 10 people who message me, I will mail you for free one of these pamphlets if you're interested. But anyways, I came across this pamphlet, and it's from my church. I just happened to come across it. And I decided to read it because it was only 12 pages. And of course, one of the things it talks about is whenever you get engaged with someone, one of the first things you need to talk about is money. How does your fiance view money? And as everyone knows, money is like one of the top reasons, if not the top stressor of marriage stresses and divorce, the top reasons for divorce. So the bottom line is we have to learn how to manage money before it manages us. Money is my bitch. I don't work for Bank of America. I don't work for Capital One. They're there to work for me. So it's very important that we learn how to manage it. Now, we can talk about investments, but this is not this podcast. I personally like to go towards real estate investments because it's what I know. But there's people who do very well in the stock exchange and all that. And I just want you to know that that's a whole other podcast. Building credit, all of that. We will do that in another podcast. This is about managing what money you have now, regardless of your financial situation. Because back in 2002, 2003, my kids were the richest poor kids in the world. Like, we lived in a double wide trailer, and yes, they might have driven a used car, but I mean, we were making ends meet barely. So I was working all these different jobs, and again, like I said, my kids were the richest poor kids. Okay, so money works for me. I don't work for it. Now, the first thing about money is, like right now, I'm on this spending splurge. I'm not saying I do this all the time. See, I need this money podcast more than anybody. But I started crafting recently, back 2 months ago in January, and I'm really enjoying myself. But I have been buying things like crazy, making my inventory, and so I can make whatever I want. And my husband came to me and he goes, Pam, there's no problem buying what you want to do in your hobby. In fact, he's very, very supportive of this endeavor. And he just said, be sure you're buying intentionally. And I thought that was an interesting concept, buying intentionally. Because you just want to be buying things that you couldn't even give away a year from now. And a good example of this is back in 1980s, that was when fax machines were really new. Where you have a fax machine, it cost like $1,500 to get one. And people would borrow our fax machine at the title company, and because they were just expensive to have. And then people could get their documents the same day. Well, now I wouldn't pay $10 for a fax machine, because we could email somebody and they could print their own documents and sign them and send them back. So we don't need fax machines like we used to. I know that my brothers have fax machines still for the company, but I don't think they're used very often. Their fax machines are through the computers, and they do it through their computer screens. They don't even have an official fax machine. So what we pay now a lot of money for might not be worth $1 5 years from now, with the way technology and everything is moving along. So we need to buy intentionally, because I have given away stuff. I put things on my curb that people won't even take for free off the side of the road that I bought and paid for. So buy intentionally. Another thing that my husband taught me was inventory. Like, I'm having all this craft inventory. He goes, and he taught me this about Showtime too. He goes, inventory costs money. And I was like, of course it costs money. When you buy t-shirts, it costs money. And he's like, no. He goes, first of all, if you borrow money to do inventory, like if you put, supplies on credit card or whatever, you're paying interest on that. So what price are you really paying? Even if I buy it at the Dollar Tree, what price am I really paying for those things? And if you have cash tied up in inventory, then that cash is not working for you in other parts of your life. So, or in your business particularly. So that's costing you money too. And then of course there's the shelf storage. There's the cost of storage. How long do you have to store something before it exceeds the value of the inventory? And I want to apply that to my home. So my home is considered prime real estate. We don't build brand new shacks on the beach with an ocean view. Those are usually considered the more expensive homes, because why? It's prime real estate. You don't want to overbuild for an area, and you don't want to underbuild for an area. Same thing with your home. You want to put things up and put things in your home that have value, have meaning. We don't want to fill it up with junk that we bought at the Dollar Tree. So just keep that in mind. I remember one time I paid for a storage unit for over 2 years, and then I finally said, I need to get rid of this storage unit. And I went in there and I realized I couldn't sell or give away that stuff When I was spending $100 and some a month on storage, when it was like Easter baskets and it was really just trash, I literally paid 2 years to store my trash. When I could have thrown that stuff away or given it away and bought all brand new stuff for 1 month's of storage fees. So let's not, and look at all the storage unit places that are going up. We're just buying so much junk that we're just storing it. We're paying it to store it. Well, Walmart can store it for us. Let Walmart store it until we need it, and then we go buy it. That's cheaper than having a storage unit. Just put $100 every month into a different account as your blow money and say, this is what I would have spent on storage, and I'll just use that for my blow money. Let Walmart store it. Okay. Also, this brochure talks about self-discipline. And there was a joke that a husband said. He goes, if money talks, I'm not sure I believe that. He goes, when my wife gets a hold of money, all it says is goodbye. I thought that was kind of funny. So you want to always, of course, have a budget. Now, this is about budget like, well, when Ryan and Townsend were doing the Dave Ramsey program, they told me they had little envelopes. And this one, they would do envelope at the beginning of each month. One was for grocery, one was for gas. And you only spent the cash that was in the envelope for groceries or gas or whatever, and when it was spent, it was gone. That's it. You don't go over your budget. I thought that was pretty good analogy to use, especially if you have a tendency to go over your budget. So having cash in an envelope was a very tangible way of staying within their budget. So budgets are important. Also, you want to teach children the value of money and work ethic. There's one thing I can say. I feel like my children have great work ethic. Boyd is the general manager at Chick-fil-A in Orem, and I'm telling you, he does very well. He's 26 and he's doing very well for himself. I'm not allowed to say how well, but I couldn't even dream of his type of financial success at his age particularly. But there are families that will never make his money. Michael Hardy, he was working for the school system. Now he works for Ralph. But, he also had all these side hustles. He taught people how to drive. He had a driving school. And then he also does DJ Dark Side, where he's making extra money. He was not afraid of work. Matthew Jr. is very methodical and planned out, him and his wife. A lot of people in our family go to them for financial advice. Katie is hustling. Oh, my goodness. She's got Showtime and Way works at Land Title. And she has this dog business of training dogs and other things. I mean, she stays busy also. Donna, her husband is their main provider, but she also does work for this older gentleman once or twice a week that needs help, and she'll work to earn tuition or other things for private schools and other things that she has her kids in. Donna's very good with managing her money and also milking everything that's available to her. If she can work it off or make a couple extra dollars, and she plans her meals and really budgets out her money really well. I'm just really proud of them. Now, teaching your kids the value of money is so important. And I learned something with my grandkids. If I gave them a $50 bill and said, go spend this, that you spent before we leave today, they'll buy anything and everything, and it's really fun. And if I tell them I'm going to buy them something, they'll just go, they'll put a bunch of things in the cart. But when I actually give them a $50 bill and they get to hold that money in their hand, they are so much more picky about what they're going to spend that money on, because that $50 is in their hands. And I thought it was interesting. When they're spending my money, which that $50 was still my money, but for some reason it felt more like theirs, I guess, when it was in their hand. But when they're spending my money, I say, put it in the car. I'll buy you whatever you want today. They're just putting in a bunch of anything. But when I give them a $50 bill and say, this is your money, and you guys spend this, or we leave today, boy, they are really shopping and looking for a bargain. So I thought that was a good way of teaching kids the value of money. Sometimes I'll do dollar bill questions with my grandkids so that they feel like they're earning the money, because when they earn it, they also spend it differently. I remember when I was growing up, my parents did this little adoption where you could pay like $15 a month, where you could adopt a child in Africa, and you send them monthly money, and they send you pictures and updates on them. My parents had all those kids contribute to that. If we babysat or whatever, we had a little jar in the house, and you could put in 50 cents or $1 just to contribute to that person you're supporting in Africa. But today, my main goal was to go about debt elimination. Because I did this when I didn't have money. So please forgive my homemade graphics. I hope to learn how to edit and do things a little better. But if I had to list my bills back in 2003, well, then, we would have here, like Bank of America, list the balance and the payment. The balance was about $8,500, and my payment was about $285 a month. Capital One, $5,400 and $160 a month. Now you see as I go down, Wells Fargo, $2,800. So this was a good look at the bills. Well, in this brochure, it tells you a couple of ideas, but the idea that I stuck with was this debt elimination process. And I'm telling you, it worked so effectively for me that I had no credit card debt or any personal loans or anything after about 18 months of doing this. And then I was paying down my house only. I couldn't believe how quickly I had taken care of my debt. So, I make a list of all your bills. Now, of course, you have groceries, utilities, gas, but those are bills that happen every month that don't go away. You can't pay those off. So those are just cost of living. But these are creditor bills. So you need to make a list of all your bills that are creditor bills or have balances. List the balance due and then the payment every month. Then after you do that, you list the bills in order of the balances low to high. So with mine, Wells Fargo was the lowest balance, so that's $2,800. And the next one was my installment furniture loan, which was $4,750. And then I put down the monthly payment next to that. So you list them so they're in order of the lowest to highest balance. I hope you can see this. Okay. Then after that, this is what the brochure taught me. So you start with your lowest balance. Wells Fargo, $2,800. I paid $85 a month to them. Well, you focus on that bill first. Don't charge any more on that credit card. And you pay that $85 a month until it's paid off. But when it's paid off, you add that $85 to your next lowest balance, which is my installment loan for furniture. And when I add the $85 to my $175 furniture installment, I'm now paying $260 a month to my furniture installment. I'm not paying any more additional money out, but I've paid off Wells Fargo. Now I'm adding it to the furniture. You know how fast this pays down at $260 a month? Not only are you saving interest, but the compound of adding this up, you pay off a lot quicker. And then when I paid off my furniture loan, I added to Capital One, which was the next lowest balance of $5,400. So you add that $260 to the $160 I was paying them. I'm now paying them $420. This pays off so quickly in the next Bank of America, and then a personal loan, and then I added it to my car, and then you add it to your home. Okay, so after paying off the car, and my cars were debt free within a year and a half. I had no car payments, nothing. Now, I've also put this down on my website, misspam.live, and the Pink Life, because I want you to know that this might, you can see it better if you look at the attachment. But when you add it to your home, let's say a $385,000 loan at 5% for 30 years is about $2,066 a month. Well, after you pay up all these bills, which I did after a year and a half, and you add that $1,600 to your monthly payment, you just reduced your mortgage from 30 years to 11. 11 years. That's a 272% savings. 272%. Not 100% savings, 272% savings. So this debt elimination program really worked for me. If you have any questions on it, or if I didn't explain it well enough, message me, call me, do anything. But go on my website and pull down this attachment and, really try to see if that can work for you. It really worked for me. And I have to use it again and again, of course. So I hope this helped a little bit. Please forgive me for being Pammy in her pajamas. I just couldn't wait to podcast anymore to make it perfect. So I'm going for imperfection is my goal. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in. And don't forget, if you want a free brochure, I've got 10 of them. Just message me and I will immediately email you, or not email you, but mail you one in the mail for free. And then also, if you want a Pink Life keychain or glasses, message me and send me your zip code and email or address, and I will mail that to you for free also. Because I feel, I don't know, fun doing this so much, and I appreciate everybody's support. So talk to you soon. And this week we're going to have podcast with Tracy. I'm hoping to get Gracie McCullough in. We had to reschedule Michelle Woods, who's now Michelle Thrift, and then Dr. Matthew Hedelius is going to talk about trauma and some other things. So I thought it was some really good topics. So thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. I love all y'all, and thanks for helping make my dreams come true. Have a good day. Bye.